Hi there, Jackie Flynn here from the Innovative Child Therapy Symposium. Thank you so much for all of your nice comments. It warms my heart. This has been the best week. So you still have a chance to catch the last day of the symposium. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you register. Or if you haven't purchased that Therapist Extraordinaire Pass to where you can download all 40 videos with the extras, make sure you do so. Okay, so let's see who is on the lineup for today. There's Joanna. We actually start with Robyn Gobbel. She is amazing. She is the go-to on attachment. This interview is so good. I've watched it multiple times. She knows her stuff when it comes to this, and she talks about how she incorporates parents into the process and some of the neurobiology of it. Really good. Also, Jeanine Halloran is on the symposium today. I love this interview. I love her. She's so full of energy. She compiled just a whole book full of coping skills that I've since got that book. It's a best-selling book on Amazon, but you can actually copy the pages and hand them out to your clients. It's so good. She has lots of grounding techniques and calming techniques, everything that is in that book is very useful. All right, so we have Joanna Piekarski on this symposium today. This interview, I have to say, out of all of them, this is the one that I found the most valuable. When it comes to assessments, I don't feel like super knowledgeable, and I really wanted some good tangible information and a more thorough understanding, and Joanna knows her stuff. Now, this interview is a little bit longer. It's 53 minutes, but she shares with us formal and informal assessments. She gives us, for the Therapist Extraordinaire Pass, gives us a cheat sheet where you can go through the assessments. She has some play-based assessments, how you do it with turn-taking games. That interview is incredible. Joanna, you are amazing, girl. Okay, so next is Dr. Kat. So Dr. Kat is a fellow podcaster. I met her in the online course that I took on learning how to podcast, and she's so good. She is the guru on maternal mental health. I had her on my podcast as a guest, and I wanted to include her in this symposium because a lot of our clients, their parents are having siblings, or they may be struggling with any kind of maternal mental health issues. And it's important to be able to recognize that, know when and who to refer to. Lots of great stuff in that one. Also, Jill Castle is on the symposium today. I met Jill a few years ago. She is on my course. She is a world-renowned pediatric nutritionalist. She's so fun, but she's so very knowledgeable. She's an author as well, and she just travels around the world speaking. But she talks to us about the connection between mental health and nutrition, and how meal times are very important, and how food is connected to mental health. It's a source of nurturing, but sometimes it could be a source of trauma. You don't want to miss that interview. Jill is so good. Okay, so Dora Henderson. Dora is a local friend and a colleague of mine that I just adore. We're going to do some future work together too. She is now in a thriving private practice, and she's really good. She's a registered play therapist supervisor. Good, great at what she does. She used to be a school-based therapist, so I was very curious. I used to be a professional school counselor, and I just wanted to know the difference in that, and I figured, other people may as well. And what does therapy look like in the school setting, since they have to go back to class after that? I know a lot of times therapy can stir up some things, so I just wanted to talk to her about that, and she clears up a lot of stuff. She answered all my questions. Okay, Dede Diaz. She is wonderful. She is her Compassionate Connectors grief group is so good. Dede has such a big heart, and she knows her stuff when it comes to grief. She shares with us a very personal story about the loss of her son, And she really provides a lot of tips for child therapists on how to work with children that are grieving a loss. Specifically, we talk about the grief and loss connected to a death, but it can be connected to moving, the loss of a friend, divorce. Grief can show up in so many different ways, but some things aren't necessarily common sense. So Dede really helps us clear up that. She provides a great tip sheet for the therapist extraordinaire pass. Oh, and then the last one of the symposium is Dr. Ellis Edmunds. Okay, so I learned about him on the Selling the Couch podcast from Dr. Melvin Varghese. When I started my private practice, his podcast was a really big help for me learning how to just do all of the components of private practice, which now, and it's all set up and it's running really well. But he had Dr. Ellis Edmunds on his podcast talking about his game, the Mindful Buzz, and I was like, I have a lot of ideas. I want to learn how to implement some of these ideas, and I know a lot of child therapists do have like that creative bug, so they have all these ideas, but not knowing how to go forward. Dr. Edmunds really shares with us his process, the site he went to, the process that he went through to create the mindful buzz and drop the rope. So that's who's on the symposium today, and that is all of them. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure that either you sign up to watch that last day or you just go ahead and get the pass. So just a quick review. On that day one, we had Lucy Lewin talking about animal assisted play therapy, Claire Mellington talking about play therapy, Jamie Langley, she talks about nature-based play therapy. Deborah Starnes, oh my goodness, I love her. Talking about adoptive and foster families. We learned from Lisa Dion. I'm a huge fan of Lisa Dion's work about synergetic play therapy. We learned from Carmen Jimenez Pride. Oh, I love her. She is so very good. I think she's going through EMDR training right now. And then I talked to you about my journey as an EMDR therapist. That's definitely my jam. I love integrating EMDR therapy with play therapy. So good. We learned from Katie May, the group guru. She has a great influence on my work as a therapist that provides group therapy. Kate Shannon talks to us about music therapy techniques. Oh, I just seeing her face gives me that wow feeling because she is so fun and so knowledgeable. We learned from Robert Cox, a dear friend and podcast colleague of mine. He talks to us about attachment. That one's really good. We learned from Dr. Sarah Whalen. Ooh, I did not know that relationship development intervention, I didn't even know what it was. She talks to us about that. That is such a great resource. We learned from Neil Harris about labyrinths. As you could see, I have one in the back of my video right there. I use it every day. And Stephanie Bird, she's a local therapist and a dear friend of mine, talks to us about that superpower technique with the word. We learned from Lynn Wonders, which has saved the day more than once. She is the go-to anything and everything related to high conflict divorce, which is the opposite of fun, but she is there to just provide that information. I'm so glad she just recently came out with a book because she can spread that knowledge. There's only one of her. Wish there was like a gazillion of her so that we could even have more, but the book helps everybody have that information readily available. Oh, we learned from Althea Simpson. I love her. She tells us a s'more story, so good. And we learned from Samantha Willis talking about our clients in the LBGTQ plus community, so good. Julie Bowen, she talks to us about helping teens recover from addiction and what that looks like. We learned from Amanda Maddox. She's a dear friend of mine that used to work for me as an independent contractor. She's so good. She went off and started her own practice. She knows everything I can think of that I've had a question about. She knows about addiction. I won't say she knows everything, but anything I've asked her, she's been able to answer, which is super cool. We learned from Rebecca Comizio, and she's a school psychologist. She talks to us about how to really understand those active shooter drills and how to help kids with those. She pulled from some research. I love that interview. Oh, Janet Courtney. Oh, my heart. She's amazing. She talks to us about the power of touch with infants and toddlers. When we think about the lifespan and an important time in the lifespan, that is such a key time. So good. Thank you, Janet. We learned from Amy Baker about parent alienation. I have to say, this is totally out of my comfort zone, so I wanted some more information. What I got from that interview is I'm looking for people in the community that I can refer to, and now I know what it is. The common pitfalls, all of that that comes with that. Also, we learned from Sarah Magnoni. Oh, she talks to us about like her personal experience of having a child with schizophrenia, and really helps give child therapists like an insider view so they can know how to best help their clients. We learned from Laura Shackus. I learned about her when I was seeking information about someone that was struggling with trichotillomania. Ooh, Laura's so good when it comes to body focused repetitive behaviors. That interview is a must. We learned from Lindsay Bill. Lindsay Bill is an occupational therapy or therapist in New York City that really, she has a book, Sensory Smarts. You can go to her website. She has some downloadable checklists that you give to parents, you can even incorporate it as part of your intake process. So good. She talks to us about weighted blankets. I love her and her work. Tiffany Trudeau talks to us about anxiety. Tiffany is so good. She's a local friend of mine. She was on my podcast talking about teens and sexting. Tiffany is really good. I am excited for you to see that interview if you haven't done so yet. Diana Shaw talks to us about executive functioning. She started off in the school system, so she knows all about that and talks to us about how we can help our clients with this. Now, I talked to Dr. Dawn. Dr. Dawn is incredible. I started off this interview just wanting to talk about how diet and exercise impacts kids with ADHD. Ooh, I was searching for any question that I've ever had about ADHD because she knows her stuff. So we talk about 504s, IEPs. We talk about the morning madness that could happen, chaotic meal times, all kinds of stuff when it comes to ADHD. Dr. Dawn is incredible. Definitely research her. She wrote some books if you haven't done so already. We learned from Dr. C. She's so good. She's an EMDR therapist as well. That's how I know her. And she knows her stuff when it comes to working with kids with ADHD. She lives in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Recently just invited me to do a presentation up there with her. I love her work. Oh, Noreen Vanderhoeven. She knows her stuff when it comes to suicidology, which is also out of my comfort zone. I think it's probably not in a lot of people's comfort zone. She has a great course out there, but she teaches us exactly what to look out for, some of the processes. Every state has something a little bit different. That's a great interview. And then today's, I talked to you about today's already. We have Robyn, Janine, Joanna, Dr. Kat, Jill. We learned from Dora and Dede and Dr. Edmunds. All right, I hope you guys have a great day, and it's almost a weekend. Woohoo! All right, catch you later. Bye.